Hey, you're out in the garage with TheEZGZ. This is going to be one of those videos I took over 3 days. Had some things I needed to change on the transmission, and I just made so many videos. Had the transmission in and out, the engine on and off. Said some good things and some bad things, and I want to share that with you. But I'm not so sure about my editing. I don't have the same software that I did previously, and so I feel limited by what I can do. So I'm going to kind of put this last video first as an explanation, and then kind of chronologically go through it and hope that it makes sense to somebody and that you enjoy the video. So let's get started. Hey, you're out in the garage with TheEZGZ. You're not going to believe what's going on here now. I had that transmission with the bad third gear. It's back in the car, and I thought I had it fixed. I took it around the block. It's doing the same thing. Obviously not fixed. Obviously it's something that I didn't see, and I'll have to pull it apart. I thought I was going to have myself a spare transmission. Now I took this transmission out, that's a close ratio, and was working fine. But it didn't have what I call the super diff. It does now. There's 4 spider gears down there. A stock one only has 2. And I'm just having a heck of a time. Here's a stock one. You got these big holes on the side windows, and that's where the cross shafts go for. It's a whole different housing. So I've been noticing issues with these. This is a good one. I made these little oil grooves because I saw on these other transmissions that I got that somebody else had done that, so I did the same thing. Now I'm thinking I shouldn't have, because let's see if I can find some cracks here. I'm finding all these side gears with cracks in them. Well, this one cracked right next to it. Can you see that in the light right there, right there? So it's just a matter of time. The little pieces of metal, it changes the dimensions, it starts falling apart. Well, that one doesn't seem to be too bad either. Now I'm getting them all mixed up. It's not good, not good. Instead of making videos, I should be putting this together. My arthritis is just killing me. All my joints are just screaming. My hands and my fingers, it feels like, you know, you got a bad headache? That's how my hands feel. Just through my whole hand. I could probably take something for it, but I'm not gonna. So, at any rate, we're hard at it. This is, I got it together, but I don't know if you can hear that. That's too much clearance. I'm going to have to reshim it. I don't have the proper tools to measure it and doing it a professional way. I kind of have to do it trial and error. I also have a hole that's completely through the case. There's a nut down here. When you put these custom close ratio gears in, you have to grind the inside of the case, and I've done it myself, and I've seen other guys where you get a hole there and you just need the clearance for the gear. You grind the side of the corner off of the gear and you grind into the case just as bare minimum, but you still end up with a hole. So you smear some silicone in there and it's leaking. This thing was leaking from a lot of places, so that was one of the things. Stop the leaks, put in the super diff, and I was going to keep it as a spare, but now I'm going to have to go through, drop the engine and put it back in the car. It's a lot easier than doing it in a car with a body around it. I like the way the steering brake worked. That was a good call. So I'm pleased with that. But I got a lot of work here. These are all the tools that I was using to do the swap out, so I decided I'm just going to leave them right here on the floor, and that'll save me some time, hopefully. He always goes faster. Even when you get forgetful like me, if you do it within the same week, it goes a lot faster. So hopefully we'll be going for a ride here soon. And I've mentioned this before, it seems like with these hobby cars, especially when you're dealing with performance, seems like for every hour that you spend driving it, you got to spend an hour at some point working on it. So I'm getting all my hours built up so that when I go to California here in a few weeks, it'll just be fun, fun, fun. Won't have to even, maybe I won't even take my tools, right? I don't think that'll be a good idea. Either that or I'll be buying a lot of stuff at Harbor Freight. So, anyhow. Hey, hey. Here with TheEZGZ. It's daybreak. And it's day 3 of the project. So, I hear the furnace just kicked on out in the garage. Thank goodness for that. I was looking at all my chopped up videos. Let's go out here and take a look, see what's going on. Day 3. Yeah, we got the book out, and I probably made 10 videos, and it's all chopped up. I forget where I'm at. Last video I posted, we were just checking the valve adjustment on the 2276, and I got this hair up my butt. I decided that I had a transmission on the stand that I had taken to Idaho on my last sand trip, and it was a good transmission, except third gear didn't work. I went ahead and swapped that out for another transmission that was close ratio, pieced together from transmissions that were given to me. By close ratio, I mean the gears were closer together. You would hate this kind of a transmission on the street. You wouldn't even be using all the gears. You'd be probably skipping gears all the time. You might start off in first, and then you'd go to third, or, you know, that type of a thing, and then fourth, because you're all bunched up. But you need that type of transmission in the sand. It's kind of like running in water that's a knee deep, you know. You can run on flat surface pretty good, but if you try running in deep water, you know what I'm talking about. And it's the same thing with the sand. So, not really worrying about how well the engine was, or the transmission was sealed up. I just kind of like threw it in the car while I worked on the other transmission, and as it turned out, everything was working good on it. All the internals were working. First, second, third, fourth, reverse, it was working fine. The only thing, I didn't have a beefed up differential. I call a super diff. I had a stock differential in there, but it worked. So while I had the engine, man, this is just how it's gone. Just starting over, tongue-tied. I gotta hurry. There's only 5 more days till Christmas, and what am I doing? And needless to say, I haven't started my Christmas shopping. Can you believe that? Have you got your Christmas shopping done? It's probably after Christmas by the time you see this. Alright, let's see how we do now. Come on, focus camera. I just pulled all my stuff out of the washing machine. This has been a 3-day marathon between looking at videos and trying to piece something together. I got my shop apron on. There's just nothing like this 90 weight oil for just getting everywhere. So it's just been a trial and error deal. And now I finally got it set up. I'm going to stick my finger in here on the ring gear, and I want you to hear it. Now you can also see it slightly move. You look in there? But you need to have that little tap. You have to have, the book calls out between 7 and 10 thousandths clearance. Now I used to go do this a different way. I would take the main shaft out and I would stick a dial indicator in through the bottom. There's a sophisticated tool, a factory Volkswagen tool, that you put it inside and it tells you exactly what to do, because you have to use shims to get this thing centered. On this sedan style tranny, the pinion gear is dead center in the transmission. That's why it can, the only Volkswagen transmission I know of that for a rear engine car that you can just take the differential out one side and put it in the other without changing the dimensions and make it into a mid-engine transmission. The fact is, most guys can't afford to make more power. And the point I'm trying to make here is, if you can't afford to make more power for your engine, why are you putting it on a 50-year-old transmission that leaks like a sieve and is pretty much worn out? It's tough. Every trip, I just cross my fingers that I don't go catching air off of something and come slamming down and break my transmission. The transmission is the weak link in a Volkswagen Beetle, especially an older one that you get a hold of that you're trying to restore or fix up. You know, it's no challenge to build a 2276. They make these kits that you can just bolt them together as pretty much as, like, you know, just bolting it together. You don't have to do any machine work. Just buy the right pieces and you can bolt it together. But then you're putting it, you know, putting a heavy-duty clutch in it, and you're slapping it on these old transmissions and expecting them to live, and that just is asking a lot. So, at any rate, and it's not the gears necessarily, it's the differential here is the weakest link in the whole thing, and drag racers add to that dilemma by putting the big drag slicks on it, and they're on that sticky starting line and trying to launch off there, and you know, it just depends on how fast can you afford to go. This does not look like the right kind of spacer, but it was the one that was on it. There was one on both sides. Now you want that backlash, and this is how you can move that center carrier back and forth. It goes on the ends of the carrier underneath the bearing. Now when it's all said and done, if I were to loosen this right now, this side cover, there's an O-ring seal underneath that, and now I guarantee I replaced it. This one didn't look too bad, and it leaked, and I'm sure the new one's going to leak too. But when you loosen it, you should be able to stick a feeler gauge down in there. And on this one I had it, so what it's doing is it's preloading the bearing that's inside here. Big bearing on both sides, and it's got a little preload on it because there's tremendous torque on that ring and pinion. I mean, it's trying to push itself away. The axles are trying to push out. Everything's under an unbelievable stress. So the next step is to take that engine off. I got to take the frame. I got to remove the frame underneath here, just in the center. And I got to take all the shock absorbers off. I got to loosen the spring plates, wheels and tires, brakes. If this was an IRS transmission, I wouldn't have to touch any of that. But an IRS transmission is heavier, and they have a tendency to bend. At least the stock ones do. And by the time you start adding all the material to strengthen it, now you've got a whole lot more weight. But, you know, and those CV joints, everybody ends up putting the 930 Porsche ones on, or they run the bus CVs and stuff. I've been down that road, and it's just as much of a pain as this. I mean, it's easier to fix in the field, and it's easier to work on the transmission, but if you have a lighter car and you don't... Here's the key. Here's the key to having your stuff live. Stop jumping your buggy. All this airtime that you see that's so popular in the sand dunes, you got these 3,000-pound 4-seat cars, and these guys got these big LS Chevy engines in it, and they're turbocharged and they're flying off the dunes. My gosh, those are $80,000 cars and more. I'm not in that class. I'm trying to run on peanuts, and if you're trying to do like me, just get out there and enjoy the sand and have some fun. And the fun factor, it depends on who you're running with. If you're in a class of, if you're a part of a group of guys that have those big cars, then, and you're trying to follow them around, you ain't gonna have fun. But if you get in with a small group and have similar cars, you're gonna have just as much fun, if not more fun. And let me tell you, many times I've gone to the dunes for a week's vacation over the years, and come Tuesday, those big expensive cars, they are parked in camp, broken, because they were out there jumping and showing off, and you know, everybody wants to ride, so they slam through the whoops close to camp, and then they start jumping the thing, catching air, and then something breaks. And those are custom cars. They're just, everything's custom. It's handmade one piece at a time. And the guys think they're bulletproof, and they spend all this money, and they expect them to be strong. But when things do break, and they eventually will, then there's no replacement parts. Well, wouldn't you know it? I think it's time to go Christmas shopping. The power went out. I got the engine off. I got the old tranny out. I doubt you can see anything here in the dark. I had this one lifted up. I was laying underneath it trying to get the nose cone bolts in, and all of a sudden the lights went out. And I thought to myself, well, gee, I wonder how long this is going to be. It could be, it's been bad. I have overhead power lines in my old neighborhood, and this happens from time to time. I don't have a clue why, but I got no light, no power, no tunes, no computer. I think it's about a half hour before my next yoga class that I wasn't going to go to, but looks like I'll make it. So maybe I'll start my Christmas shopping too. I'll turn you back on when the power comes back. Alright guys, here we go. We're back at it. Power's back on. Probably been 3 hours. Got in an hour yoga class, went and did some grocery shopping. I just, you know, had to pull off, and it's supposed to snow tonight. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful out there right now. I suppose I could even leave the door open. It's the 20th of December. We really haven't gotten any measurable snow. There's a little bit of a breeze, but it's gorgeous. The lake's been freezing at night, but I don't know if you can tell from here. The water's open. Almost looks like a little patch of ice right out there in the middle, doesn't it? Right in the middle of the section. Looks like there's ice out there. Let's see. Would it have a tendency to freeze towards the edges and not towards the middle where it's deeper? I don't remember. But it's a beautiful December day, almost the end of the year. Oh, I'm kind of stiff. That yoga didn't help a thing. Hey, look at this mess. This is what I go through. God, it must be worth it. Tell me it must be worth it. I'll tell you what this is going to do. It's going to make me drive like an old man that I am. I'm going to take it cautious for at least the first week. Oh my goodness. Just take it slow and easy. I'm sick of wrenching. I want to drive it. You know, I got that turning brake in there. I'm anxious to see what that's going to do. I got a different front end on it. And this is, let's see, transmission since Labor Day, since that last big sand trip. I had that transmission out and this one in, then this one out and the other one in, that one out, this one back in. Now it's got the super diff and all close ratio gears. Oh, I hope this is it. I'm going to drive it respectfully. I'm not gonna lie. So, I don't know. if this, I'm using an older version of my software, then it really sucks, but I don't know if I can speed it up. On the last version I had, you could speed it up. And I've just been watching, you know, I go in and take breaks. I just had a cup of coffee, and I'll tell you, the fall time of the year, that's when everybody starts hunting and the leaves change color, and I've really had this strong calling to do some of that outdoor stuff, and I just haven't done it. I've been with my grandkids, I've been working on some other issues, getting ready for this trip. Oh my, it's just been one thing after another. Had some issues with the trailer. That poly roofing on that came out one morning. The wind was blowing and that thing was flopping and it cracked, and I see cracks on both sides. I did a little repair on that. So at any rate, I think what I'm gonna do, I'm working underneath. I think I'll just, you know, you can see what you have to go through. You just have to take everything off. You have to take the backing plates off. You have to disassemble the rear of the car is essentially what you're doing. And I was right underneath there trying to fish through the nose cone mounts. There's 2 bolts that go in there, and then you've got 4 that go into the bottom of the bell housing here. And I'll put you on the stand, and I'll just crawl underneath there and just talk to you as I work. I really want to get this done. It's supposed to snow tonight, and I'd like to get this thing around the block a few times this afternoon. I would sleep a lot better if it was running. So I've been occupying my time. I keep chopping up my sentences and my thoughts. I've been thinking about the outdoor stuff, and I started watching videos. I really like this guy, Doug Outside. He's got a few other fellows that are popular that you probably know of or watch if you like the outdoor stuff. Joe and Sean, and there's a couple other guys too, but I really particularly like Doug. He's just, you know, a little bit more mature. He's a little older, and he is just a talented man. I enjoy listening to him talk, and I like his wood carving. He enjoys a good cup of coffee every now and then, and I'll just take a little break and go inside and have a bite to eat and turn on one of his videos, and it doesn't matter to me if it's the same one I've seen before. And you know, when the advertisements come on, a lot of times I'll just let him play because I know that it's, you know, making him money so that he can do more of what it is he does. And I really have to count my blessings for all the subscribers that I have and the great folks. There's a lot of new people that come to my channel, and I think what I'm going to try to do is incorporate my Volkswagens into more summer car camping. I'd love to get one of those Swift canoes, lightweight canoes, but I've got my kayaks, and there's no place around here where you have to portage, and that's the main reason to get something light. We got a lot of high mountain lakes and stuff, but his kayak weighs, I think he said 28 pounds. His canoe weighs 28 pounds. My kayak weighs 40 pounds. So it's only 10 pounds more, but I ain't getting any younger. But we might do some things and do some overnight stuff just to give you some stuff to look forward to. And I was even thinking maybe on this trip taking a little stove and some coffee and water and things, and brew a pot of coffee out there on the sand dunes and just, you know, watch the day go by. So yeah, that's what I kind of got in store in my mind. We'll see how things work out here, but I'll turn you back on when I get you on the stand here, okay? Now I'm trying to get these 2 nose cone bolts in here. They made 2 different kinds of nose cones. They made the 2-bolt and the 3-bolt, and you know, it depends on what kind of torsion housing you got and what setup that you're going to go with. It's sometimes there's stuff in here. A lot of this stuff is tedious. And you just have to have patience. I should take up that wood carving that Doug outside does. I think that'd be fun. And it would probably help with my patience. You know, the problem I think most of us have, I don't think I'm too unusual, is you have that voice going constantly in your head. And I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoy working out in the garage, because it's one of those times and situations where you're so focused on what you're doing that you don't hear that little voice that finally gives you a rest. And it's like, yeah, shut up. I'm sick of this. I don't want to hear your bullshit no more. And that's one of the things that yoga tries to teach you through the meditation, is to focus on your breathing. Your breath, you know, we take that for granted. And there's a lot of really beneficial things through focusing on your breathing and controlling your breathing. We just breathe and we stay alive, and that's it. But there's a lot more benefits that you can get from breathing different ways. It helps your lungs, it helps your blood, your circulation, your overall health, and you don't have to spend that much time doing on it. Now I'm looking for my 15mm wrench, because that's the only thing that will get up in there. Ta-da! Now I don't want to completely tighten this down, but I want to snug it up. Typically, it's not uncommon on these sand cars to break these nose cones. I'm looking at my silicone job over here too. It looks like that's good. So I'm just gonna keep talking while I'm working, and whatever comes into my head. I must like this sport, or I wouldn't go through all this pain. This has been a 3-day project, all day. I usually do go to yoga classes every day, and I didn't. I was trying to get this thing done, and it's just been a struggle. I'm really disappointed that other transmission, it hurts my confidence that I thought I figured out what was the matter with third gear and didn't get it. But now, as important as these transmissions are, I'm going to be going on my trip, and I might as well not even take it. It does work, you know, like same as it did on the Idaho trip, but I don't want to be the guy in the group that slows everybody else down because my car's not running right, you know. Mark and Kurt were pretty nice to let me lead, and generally as a rule I like to lead, but you know, I'm probably going to be around some new people that I don't even know, and it's the courteous thing to do is just lay back and follow and wait till the group kind of accepts you. There's kind of a sand etiquette, I guess, and it probably follows true in any group that you become affiliated with. Sand people, you know, we all realize that we're all different and our cars are different, but we have this one common thread, and that is that we could all end up broke on the sand, and there's no way that you're gonna drag your car back with you. And unfortunately there are people on these bigger dunes that are pretty disrespectful. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them are just out there looking for other people's broke down equipment because they would like to do it and they can't afford the stuff, so they look for people that are stranded and take their stuff. I guess I made myself clear enough on that, huh? Sad but true. And that's why you go with friends. Protect your stuff as well as your health. You know, you could get in a wreck. Those dunes are dangerous. Stuff is always coming loose on your car, and things. Your car quits. Could have the same problems. You're in an abusive environment, and you're really pushing the car to its limits. So it's one of those things that it can break at any moment. I don't care how good of a mechanic you are or how reliable you think your stuff is. It's just a moment away from leaving you stranded out there. So you never want to go alone. You always want to take a little first aid stuff and some water. You might be there for a while. Take a tarp so you can kind of make yourself a little shade. You want to be seen. Your cell phones, a lot of times you don't have cell service out in these areas that we go to, so that's something that you have to be cognizant of all the time too. And got these big frame horn bolts. You want it snug. See, I haven't tightened the bell housing and I haven't tightened the nose cone. You need to get things gradually into their happy spot. And you need to be real careful when you get up like this. I ripped my back really good one time. I don't know how many foot-pounds of torque it is when you use your foot to tighten something, but I guess that side's tight enough, huh? Is that where they invented foot-pounds of torque? Somebody had a Model T. You know, I had a Model A, and I had the original engine, or a Model A engine, and in the specifications in the book, like for the torque on the connecting rods, speaking of foot-pounds of torque, it says to tighten the connecting rod, and it should fall slowly under its own weight. And if it didn't, then you need to scrape the bearings a little bit more. Isn't that crazy? Okay. Now I can suck up the nose cone. Check that off my list. And yeah. So in and out. This concrete, doesn't matter whether you're young or old, it sure does seem to zap your strength, don't it? I think everybody agrees with that. 13.5 inch, not close enough. I'm using 1/2 inch bolts inside the bell housing to this solid steel motor mount. A ratchet or air tools might be a little bit faster, but this way I can control things better, and I have a better feel. If you use that stuff all the time, I guess you get pretty good at it. You sure couldn't make any money as a professional mechanic without them. Especially when there's a lot of stuff the same size. I'll probably edit all this out. I don't even think you guys are looking at me. I'm back here. Oh yeah. Hello. we're relocating to the bell housing. Oh. Now I get to stand up in an upright position. Oh boy. Get as much of this stuff in and tight before I hang the motor back on there, so that I can get to all this stuff. This is a hydraulic clutch instead of a cable. A cable's much more, you have a lot more feel, but you don't shift that much anyhow. It's either in or out. Now I need a 11/16. This has got solid supports coming down to the frame horns, as well as the stock frame horns with a solid steel back. We don't use any rubber isolation devices. There's no rubber motor mounts, and that's another one of the reasons why things come loose. Even if your engine's balanced, you're still gonna have vibration and a lot of impacts and jarring. And the tires, these tires set up a vibration in themselves, just buzzing. So this is, I don't normally show this part of my work. I think it's boring. You might leave me a comment in the down below and tell me if this just bores you to tears watching me do this routine stuff, tightening nuts and bolts. I'm trying to somewhat stay on topic. I need to keep my brain on topic so I don't forget anything. Like when I took this engine off, I found something that I had forgotten on the last one completely. The little tiny nut that holds the wire on your alternator, I had it on there finger tight. I did not tighten it down all the way. So that probably would have fell off out in the sand. And that, little things like that is what can ruin your day. Really ruin your day. You know, we're running small lightweight batteries anyhow. Now, I think what the next step I'm going to do is try to get these backing plates on and get these bearings and everything on, because I'm afraid that the fulcrum plates may have slipped around. I don't know, this thread must be damaged. I know I'm not cross-threading it, but one of those that's easy on the wrench but hard to do it by hand, you know what I'm saying? Either that or I'm just getting old and weak and tired. Well, it's the moment of truth. It's dark out. I've got stuff piled all over the car, but we're going to fire it up. And we're going to go through the gears. Except I gotta hook up the battery unless I want to crank it by hand. Alright, let's try that again. Fuel pump's on. Gas valve is open. Fuel line's hooked up. Transmission's in. Basically, we're back to where we were 3 days ago. 3 full days ago. Except now it's got a super diff in it. And hopefully I didn't screw anything else up. Real confident. Let's see. Well, I hope I got the... Doesn't feel like I really got the clutch. I guess I gotta hook up the throttle too. Jeez Louise. Alright. Oh. Well, you know what they say, third time's charm. Oh, I just want to hear that thing run and go through the gears. It shifts through all 4 forward gears in reverse, works either side, doesn't crunch, doesn't grind. So I wish it was daylight so my neighbors wouldn't be bothered, but it's supposed to snow tonight and I got all the stuff, and I tell you, I am just totally exhausted and filthy and I need some food and nourishment. At least I've got to a stopping point, and I hope you guys enjoyed coming along with me. So 3 days, 8, 16, 24 hours. So that means 24 hours of sand time. I'm stacking it up. I'm stacking it up for every hour that you work on it. I want to do some of the fun stuff. I wanted to take off that fuel pump and put on this blank. I want to do a front end alignment, adjust the camber on my front wheels. Yeah, I'm tired of transmission work, that's for sure. So, at least she ran, and thanks for watching, thanks for subbing, easy jeezy, out!